Koreans at the Korean store are awesome. They have to put up with like so much shit. Over in the area is kind of a high nonsense area. Like there's a lot of nonsense. You know, you go in the store one day and you have these people that sometimes hold the store hostage. Like they're just acting out really crazy and trying to talk to everybody in there and telling them there was a time when everything went through them. You know, secret kings and stuff like that. A lot of that acting out. And sometimes they have to call the police on them, you know, because they're just like, it's too much nonsense, and it starts affecting the other customers and stuff, and just a lot of those kind of people over there. So I feel bad for them. They have to deal with it, but they seem to do okay with them. I don't have the kind of patience, you know, that they do. They seem to be able to blow it off, like, yeah, whatever. Is this person leaving yet? I mean, it's one thing when they come in and out. They come in, they act crazy, they try to upset people, try to start trouble, and then they leave. Some of them just like go in there and like, saw this one lady there one day that just didn't want to let anyone else go up to the counter even though she was all done. She kept saying that people were stealing things from her. She was on walking around talking nonsense. She was on some kind of drugs, probably methed out. And I know I'm going to get another one because it's gone now. And the poor people are like, no, you put it in your bag. I didn't put nothing in my bag. It's like, why are you doing this to people around you? It's like these kind of people, like, they're not suffering. The people around them are suffering. You know, they don't give a shit. Their brains are too fucking unfunctional to fucking care or to understand what they're doing. They're just like, duh, duh. It's some people or some things out here just want to cause disharmony where they see harmony. They want to shatter contentment where they see contentment. It's like they're just compelled to do so. They hate seeing you just walking along, minding your own business, having a nice day. Or being happy in some way, like eating food or something. They hate that. Because there's a lot of unhappiness and a lot of misery, and they want to, you know, they get mad that you're not in their predicament, so they're going to try to pull you down to their predicament. I was talking to some people in the comments on the crime video I did, and there was a guy that had come here for vacation. He was talking about how he agrees that the vibe has changed. It's a little bit more sketchy. And I mentioned to him, like, a lot of the new faces that I see here that I didn't see post lockdowns, that just seem to appear. And they're not tourists. They're just like, where the fuck all these people come from? Because you kind of get to know who's in the neighborhood after, you know, a couple years. You can see the faces that remain, you know, while all the people around them change, because it has a high traffic tourist area. So you see, after a while, it's like, oh, well, that guy must live here. Oh, that guy must live here. And a bunch of new people seem to have just like showed up that I don't recognize. It's like I mentioned to him, it's like they did a dark city on my neighborhood. You know, it's like really weird. And it made me think about something. During, or just at the beginning, right, of the lockdowns. Actually, did this start right before the lockdowns? Yeah, anyway. Downtown in the Chinatown area, the regular drug dealers who had been here for years, mainly island guys, locals, that had been dealing, all got busted. There was a lot of busts. You know, guys that had been out there for years. It was kind of, you know, known to the community that this guy's, you know, it was just how it was. However, however that goes, it was going that way. It's the way she goes. Sometimes she goes, sometimes she doesn't go. But what happened was they started arresting them all, like out of nowhere. And these are guys that they knew were operating and didn't touch them before. And, you know, you figure, well, maybe it was just a big bust. But here's the kicker. They were all replaced. In a business sense, they all had other guys come and pick up their job. These other guys were not islanders. They were like, they're like California style people. A lot of like gangster types. They took up the same spots, the same areas, the same places in the parks, or where the other regular guys were. It's like they did a shift change. Very, very CIA-ish. I remember saying that at the time. I'm like, yeah, it's like they came in and like they wanted to put their guys in that they could work with better or something. So they got rid of all the local islander people and they replaced them all with what you would think of as like a typical like gangster drug dealer type guy. I don't know if it affected the prices. I don't know, it could have. I didn't get too into the minutia of it. But that's what happened. And I know a lot of people don't like to admit that they have any knowledge of this sort of underground type stuff, but if you do and you hear this, I'd like to, if you have any thing to add to that as far as the validity of that situation. But that's what it seems to be. It was like a big shift change. It just, to me, it sounds like intelligence agency type thing. For whatever reason. Now, did they bring these guys over here as just single dudes by themselves? On a fucking, they chartered them over here, just, or did they bring families with them and other people with them? You know, it stands to reason. I think that they would, unless they're putting them all up in one place, called the CIA drug dealer house. I don't think that would. I think that would be even beyond their stupidity to do something like that. Although I wouldn't, you know, maybe have one of those nice painted like navigational kind of signs there. Nice painted CIA drug dealer house. But yeah, so they brought a lot of people over for that purpose. So I would think that there would be other people coming with these people. Because I see it. There's a lot of like almost not even West Coast really, it's more like East Coast. You can tell from the clothes. You know, a lot of like winter coats, winter jackets in the summer, right? So it makes me think of like East Coast sort of gangster types. And then you look at the 40% increase in violent crime in the area over the past 2 years. And the picture kind of starts to form, you know, a very difficult picture. It's very hard to talk about with any sort of impunity. But I think, you know, if you look at it, you kind of start to put everything together. Why, though? Some sort of destabilization, or just they wanted a firmer hand in the drug trade. And I think a lot of these older islanders, Hawaiian blood-related guys, maybe didn't have the kind of control over them they wanted a stricter control, so they brought their own guys in from the gangs they work with. And that's when, you know, you started seeing murders here now, all the time. Not all the time, but relative to zero, there's been 4 or 5, almost 10 over the past 2 years in violent assaults, violent crimes, brazen sort of daylight shit. You know, knocking over pregnant women, taking their bags and stuff. Because usually if you're a drug dealer and you work, and you're like a gangster type and you work in that environment, you have other income revenues as well. You know, you're not going to just stick to one thing. You're going to take any other crime of opportunity that you think you could get. Not even that, it's just like a natural thing for them to do. You know, it's just what they do. So I mean, that's just part and parcel of that lifestyle and that mentality and that attitude. So I don't know. It's just something I'm kind of putting together in my head. That could be way off. You know, not. It's just something that I think about. Like that's kind of how I do things. Whereas I'll take bits of information over whatever certain period of time. I know a lot of us do the same thing. And you tack it on the schizo board, you know, with the red tack. And then occasionally you'll find another piece that's like, oh, okay. You tack that on the schizo board, and then you pull a string to it. That's how I do things, you know. And some of these things are, you know, years apart. But that's how long it takes for some of these things to sort of coalesce, to all dovetail together to give you a more solid picture of what's happening. So you take the influx of new faces, the influx of crime, the changing of the guard downtown with illegal activities. I don't know. Is it all coincidence? Maybe. It's a pretty interesting coincidence, though. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.